breakups are supposed to hurt. Everyone says that, but no one tells you what the silence afterward really sounds like. It's not peace, it's this heavy, suffocating kind of quiet. Like even your walls are waiting for someone to say something. It's been 4 months since I ended things with Daniel, 2.5 years together, and the last 6 months of it felt like living beside a stranger. We didn't fight, we just stopped. Connecting, he'd come home late, smell faintly of chalk and whiskey, and I'd pretend not to care. Lobit pool, not in the casual, weekend way. It was his thing. He was obsessed with it. The geometry, the precision, the rhythm of it all. We spent dozens of nights at Dante's Corner, this dim little bar on the edge of town. I never got good, but Daniel didn't mind. He said he liked the way I chalked the cue. Slow, deliberate, like I was tracing fate. That was one of his lines, tracing fate. After we broke up, I told myself I'd moved on. I got a new place, changed my number, deleted our photos. But no matter what I did, everything around me still hummed with him. The bar cue chalk stains on my jeans. The sound of glass clicking against a wooden table. Even Silos started to feel like impatient, waiting, unsaid. One Friday night, after weeks of insomnia, I cracked. I went back to Dante's Corner. Just one drink. Premeta told myself. I wanted closure, or maybe proof that I could exist in one of our places without him haunting it. The bar was almost empty. Same stale smell of spilled beer and cleaning chemicals. Same yellow light. Same creaky jukebox that never worked right. The familiarity hit harder than I expected. I ordered a gin and tonic, sat by the wall, and tried not to think. But I couldn't help glancing at the pool tables. The green felt glowed under dim lamps, each one a lonely island in a sea of dark wood and murmured conversation. That's when a man asked if I wanted to play. He looked around my age. Mid-20s. Quiet eyes. Clean hands. Plain clothes. Not threatening. Not drunk. Just familiar in a way I couldn't place. You look like you know what you're doing, he said, smiling softly. I laughed. You'd be surprised. We played a game. He was good, deliberate, confident, but I won. Barely. He smiled when I sank the last bowl. You've got a good line, he said. Smooth. Steady. It made my stomach twist a little. Daniel used to say the same thing. I brushed it off. Told myself it was a coincidence. He offered to buy me another drink. I agreed. We talked small things. Movies, work, weather, nothing that mattered. But every now and then, he'd say something too specific. A phrase Daniel used, a tone that didn't quite belong to him. At one point, he leaned closer and said, "You ever notice how blue chalk leaves a mark even after you wipe it off?" I froze. My cue hand tingled. I hadn't mentioned Daniel. Hadn't said a word about pool. He watched my reaction, then smiled again. That same, slow, practiced grin and said, "I just thought you'd be different." Then he walked out. Who's like that? I sat there, heart pounding, staring at the door long after he was gone. When I finally got up to leave, my phone buzzed. AirTag detected near you. I didn't even own one. I dumped my purse out right there on the sidewalk. Between my keys and lipstick was a small white disc, scratched but glowing faintly. My hands were shaking so hard I dropped it. I crushed it under my shoe until it cracked. I got home and locked the door. Checked every window, every room. Everything was still, but the smell of chalk, faint and dry, like dust, clung to my hands. At around 3 a.m., I woke to a soft, rhythmic sound. Click, click, click. The sound of pool balls rolling, colliding, stopping. I sat up. My mouth was dry. The sound seemed to come from inside the walls or the floor. I held my breath until it stopped. By morning, I convinced myself it was a dream. Maybe a memory surfacing. My therapist once said grief plays tricks on sensory memory, but then I saw it. in the kitchen. A thin blue chalk line drawn across the counter. Faint, powdery, perfect. It started near the sink and ended at the floor, like someone had leaned over and drawn a cue line right through the air. I don't own chalk. I don't even have anything blue in my apartment. I wiped it off, trembling, then threw the rag away. But the next morning, another appeared. This one curved slightly, like a shot that missed its mark. I moved out a week later. Didn't tell anyone why. Didn't take the mirror from the kitchen or the photos from the wall. Just left. It's been 2 months since then. I'm in a new apartment, new city. But sometimes, when the light hits the walls just right, I swear I see faint streaks of blue dust on the doorframe, on my hands, sometimes even on the corners of my reflection. And last night, as I was falling asleep, my phone buzzed again. Unknown accessory detected nearby. I looked around the dark room, waiting for the screen to go black again. It didn't. Instead, for a moment, I thought I heard the soft sound of a cue ball rolling, and Daniel's voice, low and certain, whispering, "See the line in your head." People talk about fear like it's a sudden thing, a scream, a jolt, a moment, but that's not real fear. Real fear grows quietly, like mold, until one day you realize it's been there the whole time, spreading in the dark corners of your life. My name's Mara, and I used to work at a small cafe in downtown Portland. It was nothing fancy. Chipped mugs, sticky tables, espresso machine that hissed like it was alive. I liked it though. The kind of place where the regulars came for routine, not coffee. I knew all their names, all their orders. Apparently, someone else knew mine. It started on a Tuesday. We'd been short-staffed, and I was covering the late shift alone. The cafe closes at 8, but there's always that one person who walks in at 7:55 like they have all the time in the world. That night, it was him. He was tall, wearing an oversized coat that looked like it had seen better decades. Not homeless, but worn down, like he'd been walking a long time. His hair was greasy and uneven, his skin pale, but his eyes were the wrong kind of calm. He walked straight to the counter, didn't look at the menu, didn't even glance around. He just said, "Evening, Mara." My heart stuttered. I hadn't told him my name. I wasn't wearing a namatag. There was a moment where I thought maybe I'd served him before. Maybe he was a regular I didn't recognize out of context. But no, I would have remembered those eyes. I forced a smile and said, "Do I know you?" He tilted his head slightly, almost a musaid. "You used to." Then he ordered a black coffee. No sugar, no cream. I made it slowly, trying not to let him see my hands shake. When I handed him the cup, our fingers brushed, and I swear his skin was ice cold. He didn't drink it right away, just stared at me, smiling faintly. "You moved since the last time I saw you," he said. Different neighborhood, more trees. I dropped the stirrer I was holding. "How do you know that?" He didn't answer, just took a slow sip and said, "You shouldn't have left the window open last night." That's when I knew he wasn't just guessing. He knew things he shouldn't, things no stranger could possibly know. I tried to laugh it off, mumbling something about coincidence, but he didn't react. When I looked down, there was something written in blue pen on his cup sleeve. "I've missed your voice." That's when I excused myself, locked myself in the back room, and called my manager. No answer. Then I called the police. By the time they arrived, he was gone. The only thing left behind was that cup, empty and cold. The cops took my statement, said it was probably a prank, maybe someone I knew messing with me, but I don't have the kind of friends who play jokes like that. And when I told them he knew where I lived, their expressions shifted, hoosed slightly. They promised to check the area. They didn't find anything. That night, I barely slept. I kept replaying his words, that quiet, certain tone. "You used to what?" "Used to know him. Used to belong to him." Around 2:30 a.m., my phone buzzed. "Unknown number. You shouldn't ignore people who care about you. Mara." I froze. I didn't reply. I didn't even breathe. A minute later, another message. Unknown number. Look outside. I don't know why I listened. Maybe I thought if I looked, it would just be a bad dream I could wake up from. But I pulled back the curtain. Just a sliver and my stomach turned to ice. He was standing under the streetlight across the road, holding that same cup of coffee. He raised it slightly, like a toast, and smiled. Then he walked backward into the dark, until I couldn't see him anymore. The next morning, I went to the police again. They told me not to stay alone, to get cameras installed, and to call immediately if he came back. I didn't go to work for a week. When I finally did, everything looked the same. The smell of coffee, the soft hum of the machine, the same morning light through the window, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. That's when I noticed the new cup sitting at the end of the counter. No one had ordered yet. No one had touched it. I picked it up slowly. The handwriting was the same as before, blue pen. Too neat. This time it said, "You moved the camera. Good girl." I dropped it. Coffee splashed across the floor. I ran outside. The street was empty, but when I turned back toward the cafe window, I saw it. My reflection, and behind it, faint and blurred, the outline of a man in a dark coat. I screamed and spun around. But he wasn't there. The police reviewed the footage later. There was no one else in the frame, just me, staring, trembling, talking to air. They said I was under stress, that maybe it was all in my head. But I know what I saw, and every night since, my phone buzzes once around 2:30 a.m. No message, no number, just a vibration like a heartbeat. Sometimes I hear it too. A soft voice outside, muffled through glass, saying my name like a memory. Evening? Mara? And the worst part? The first few nights, I hid. Now, I find myself listening. Because part of me still wonders if he's right. If I really used to know him. People think loneliness is about being alone. It's not. It's about silence that feels watched. When I moved into apartment 9B, I was chasing quiet. After my father died, I wanted somewhere cheap, somewhere where no one would ask how I was doing. The building was old, gray, and shaped like it had forgotten how to stand up straight. The kind of place where time and light both move slower. There was only one thing left by the previous tenant. A full-length mirror, bolted into the hallway wall. Its frame was blackened metal, carved with tiny repeating shapes that looked like eyes. I thought it was beautiful, in a strange way, until I started seeing things that weren't mine inside it. The first time, I was unpacking boxes. It was evening, that pale orange light that makes everything feel unreal. I caught my reflection bending, lagging behind me. Not by much. Maybe half a second, but enough to make my heart trip over itself. I told myself it was old glass, warped, common in buildings this age. That night, though, I had a dream that someone was standing behind me, whispering my name. When I turned around, it was just my reflection, grinning too wide. I woke up drenched in sweat. The mirror was directly across from my bed, and in the dim blue light leaking through the blinds, I could have sworn it was breathing. 3 nights later, I found a note slid under my door. It was written in thin, shaky handwriting. If you hear humming, don't look. Just keep your eyes down. No name, no apartment number. Just that. I went to the landlord the next morning. He looked uncomfortable the second I mentioned the mirror. Yeah, that thing's been here since the 90s, he said. Every time someone takes it down, they move out within a week. Some even leave it behind, guess it hust. Stays. He laughed a little after that. But it didn't reach his eyes. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt it. That low vibration, like someone humming just behind the wall. At exactly 2:14 a.m., the humming stopped. Then, 3 slow knocks echoed from the hallway. Not at the door, at the mirror. I got up, shaking, every instinct screaming not to go near it. But fear makes you stupid. I took 1 step closer, and the humming started again. Louder, deeper, almost inside my head. The reflection was darker now. Not shattered off, like something standing where I should have been, wearing my skin wrong. Its lips were moving. Mine weren't. I couldn't hear words, just that same rhythm of humming, like a lullaby that never learned to end. In the morning, the mirror was clean. Too clean. No dust, no streaks, like it had been wiped from the inside. I told myself it was a dream, but then I noticed something impossible. There were fingerprints on the inside of the glass, pressed outward. I tried to take it down that afternoon, got a screwdriver, loosened the bolts. But the moment the last one turned, my vision blurred. A sound filled the air, like someone humming underwater. The glass shimmered. I swear, it stretched toward me. For a second, I saw another hallway on the other side. Same shape, same walls, but darker, flickering like candlelight. And standing there, just beyond the glass, was me. Or something close, same face. But its eyes were open wider, the pupils just too large. It whispered something. I didn't hear the words, but I felt them, like someone breathing down my neck. That night, I slept with a blanket over the mirror. I woke up to it on the floor. The blanket, not the mirror, and written across the glass in fog, though the room was freezing cold, were 5 words. You moved the wrong one. I started crying. I didn't even know why. By the next evening, the humming had stopped. No dreams, no whispers, just silence. A silence that felt like holding your breath. Underwater, then, 2 days later, I saw it. Someone had taped another note to my door. This one apartment, 9A moved out. Don't go near their mirror. My hands shook as I pulled it down. When I looked closer, I saw faint blue pen marks bleeding through the paper. A phone number scribbled on the back, the same shade of ink that had been on that man's coffee cup, the one who knew Mara's name. I left that night. Didn't pack, didn't lock the door. I just walked out, leaving the lights on, and never looked back. But sometimes, I still hear it, that soft, endless humming, and in the reflection of passing windows, I catch a flicker. Someone who looks like me, half a second out of sync, always smiling, always watching.